I'm Nat.
And I'm Guy.
And well, it seems that I was quite more correct than I ever wanted to be in my last video on Friday, right before the opening ceremony, when I said that, well, we were going to probably see ideology take over the whole thing.
But instead, we seen fat blueberry Jesus.
And I mean, who could have expected that in the opening ceremonies and basically the daughter of Catholicism and Christianity, which is France, we would see a truly grotesque depiction of the Last Supper by Da Vinci.
Well, they're saying it wasn't the Last Supper. They're saying it was this other painting. What's the other painting called?
Well, that's the problem. The IOC, or International Olympic Committee, came out after outrage was sparked online over the images you're seeing right now and the similarities it had to the Last Supper, saying the IOC came out to say that, well, they were very, very sorry if anybody was offended, but it was actually supposed to be about inclusion and diversity and festivity, and that it was really a painting by a Dutch painter whom I can't remember the name of right now, called The Feast of the Gods with Dionysus, with a blue guy that looks like a Smurf.
Well, it sounded like a half-ass apology the Olympic Committee trying to give, and given all the other things that happen later on in the Olympics and how they're targeting Christianity again, it's absolutely ridiculous.
And yes, of course, this wasn't the only depiction that was ruffling feathers amongst the Christian community. Like the horse that came at the end, a lot of people were comparing it to one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and there were other details throughout the ceremony. But the main thing was they spent about 40 to an hour just displaying this grotesque interpretation of the Last Supper. And
well, what really got me was the surfer from Brazil. What's the statue?
So this surfer on his surfboard had the Cristo Redentor, which is in the Sugarloaf Mountain.
And he was told he couldn't compete unless he took this image off of his surfboard. Yet the Palestinian surfer had bombs on his shirt, and that was allowed to go. And by the way, Israel is at war with Palestine right now, and they're allowed to compete in the Olympics, yet Russia and Belarus are being completely banned. It's absolutely ridiculous.
So yes, they're not being very inclusive with certain aspects, and honestly, with all of the opening ceremony. They spent $130 million on this ceremony, giving it to a theater guy called Thomas Joly or Jolly, and I'm sure he gets his jollies off quite often rewatching the ceremony that he created. But most people, you don't have to be religious. You don't have to be Christian, Muslim, Jewish. You can be a complete atheist and be disgusted by what we had to see on screen for 3 hours droning on. And why were there drag queens there? Why was there a morbidly obese Jewish queer fat woman at the center of it portraying Jesus? When the Olympics are about striving to be the best you can be, to competing, to beating everybody out, to showcasing the best of humanity. We don't do that showing
this
a fat
isn't even
Smurf.
the Olympics. This is the opening ceremonies.
And on the Twitter thread by Thomas Stevenson from the Post Millennial, we can see that Barbara Butch, who was Fat Blueberry Jesus, did say that it was the Last Supper, and they had many different allusions to it. So, I mean, as long as the IOC tries to apologize and say it wasn't, we have proof from even before they try to apologize of the main characters saying that that's what it was. Every single other country that has gotten to host the Olympics have been able to showcase their history, their values, their people, and the Olympic endeavor that is exercise and competition and being the best you can be. But Fat Blueberry Jesus and the other Fat Smurf and the drag queens, who are completely confused men, do not really showcase the best that humanity can be.
Well, I think this might be a change for the Olympics from here on in, because we all know the next Olympics is going to be where? In LA. And I think it's going to be more woke nonsense. So hopefully the Olympic Committee themselves get the hint that this is not what people want. We want family-friendly entertainment when it comes to our opening ceremony. And I dread to think what the closing ceremony is going to consist of.
Yes, and it's incredibly sad because Paris was the first place that the Olympics were hosted in modern times, and they had so much to tap into with that, but they decided not to. They decided to bend to the whims of the very tiny minority that demands that we all bend to their whim. And well, what can we expect? All we can do is just tune out and let everybody know that this is not what the majority of the world wants to be seeing. But I guess for now, we'll see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in. Adios.